Welcome to Professor Sky's Spam Channel. This is a place where I talk about anything that is not new music. Now, I've already talked about the subject of today's video game Dunkey. I made a video, you can watch it up there, about why I think he is the greatest comedian alive right now. And I want to talk about one video that he released since I made that. Goblins are real. Much like my other video, I want to focus this not towards you, the modern YouTube viewer, although I'm glad you're here. Smash the like bucket, subscribe, and all that. I want to make this video for future academics, people like me, who are looking back at this time and saying, what was happening? How do we understand the early 2020s, the late 20-teens? The truth is, it's all found on social media, and in particular on YouTube. That's where you really find how people are thinking and what they're feeling. And this video, Goblins Are Real, is the best depiction, the best satirical explanation of the post-truth era. The lack of belief and expertise that plagues our civilization. The customer is always right? No, he's not. The customer's an idiot. If you go to a car dealer, if you go to a mechanic and they tell you your car is broken, the mechanic knows. You don't. Okay? We need to believe in all experts. Mechanics, doctors, scientists, French professors. Okay? But this denial of expertise, this belief that you can know better, is partially the result of the democratization of information sharing, which can be good. But it's led to a point in which we now are having a series of arguments which boil down to up is down and down is up. Let's fight about whether or not up is down. Okay? So this video, Goblins Are Real, on the surface is very simple. It's 3 minutes long. This video will probably be twice as long as it. And it's on the surface, it's got over 1 million views. And it's just a goofy, funny video. It's a donkey, goofy video about goblins. Ha ha! Goblins. It's a funny word to say, goblins. Goblins, goblins, you know? Put goblins in the comment if you like saying goblins. I like saying goblins. Goblins are real. And he keeps saying goblins are real with a funny little sound. And he's doing his little goofy donkey thing, and there's nothing serious to it at all. Except it is that most delicious of poison pills, the poison pill of satire. It's not actually a goofy video about goblins. It's a serious video about misinformation in the post-truth era. The way misinformation is believed and the way it is shared. What are the goblins in this video? They're not goblins. That's not what the goblins are. The goblins are any fake fact on the internet, any conspiracy, anti-vaccination, ivermectin for horses used for people, the big lie of the election, the flat earth. For you, your future academic who's been studying the internet, who's been studying YouTube, I'm sure you've already watched some of the great content being made by many of the people on the far left-wing spectrum of the internet, like H. Bomber Guy with his videos on the flat earth, or Sean and his video recently about anti-vaxxers, or more comedic people like Comment Etiquette talking about ivermectin. And all these videos are great. And some of them are very, very funny. Or maybe you've gone to the mainstream and you've watched all the episodes of John Oliver where he desperately tries to disabuse people from their ignorance, right? Like tries to correct people's incorrect thoughts. But I'd argue that this 3-minute video is essential to understanding the big picture. It is pure satire. And I'm going to explain it more in detail. Before I do, I want to quote Christopher Hitchens. Now, my wife, and my son, both really love Christopher Hitchens. That's like one of the ways that they bond. And one of my wife's favorite quotes, the Dr. and Mrs., is, claims made without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. Golf clap for Christopher Hitchens for such a beautiful and ultimately outdated line. That doesn't mean anything anymore, Christopher. You're dead now. I'm sorry. You're a good guy. I wish you were still around. Except for the whole Iraq thing. Speaking about claims made without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. But still, this idea of claims made without evidence can be dismissed without evidence is undercut when the nature of evidence itself changes. That's why this video is so powerful. It's a video about bad evidence. Because you can't dismiss a claim when someone believes in bad evidence. And apparently, you can't convince people that something's not true if they think it's true. To the point where they will be shown exactly how. As an example, Wakefield, the guy who did the anti-vax study, how he was financially invested in the study that he was making, how it was completely rejected by all the same sources that temporarily sort of said it was maybe okay, maybe. It doesn't matter. Evidence now is not that. We're in this weird era. And this video shows that. So let's go through the video now, okay? Sorry, I keep hitting the table. I keep shaking. I'm sorry. I'm not going to edit this. I don't edit my videos. So it starts off with images from the internet and him saying goblins are real. And obviously this is the funny part. This is the hook to get the young kids into watching this, to take this poison pill of satire. Because there's a lot of funny images, intentionally janky images from the internet of goblins. I'm sure if you go on Google Images and click goblins, these are the first 15 things that pop up. But isn't that what a lot... Have you watched some of these videos that purport to show evidence of things that aren't true? That's how a lot of them look. The jankiness of this video isn't just a stylistic choice. It is an imitation of the kind of things which people still believe. Many of the conspiracy theories are purported and pushed forward with images as dumb as this. Then there's an image of sheep, talking about how if you don't believe this, you're just a sheep. You're a sheeple. This is part of the red pilling of the world, in which there's a secret truth that only you can be shown by some random person on the internet. This intentionally poorly made thing is amazing because it is an excellent representation of the ways, the reasoning that is used to get people into these beliefs. And one of them is this vanity, is this sense of I'm special. I'm not like everybody else. I can see the truth. He then goes on to give us 6 reasons why goblins are real, which are all different wrong. First off, there's an image of a drone helicopter with some interesting music underneath. And he just says that it's a baby goblin flying an aircraft. The simplicity of this joke is deceiving, because what it's really about is about the ability to describe. You can see an image, and depending on how that image is described, how the viewer interprets what's happening can change. So if I show you my coffee cup, and I tell you that right now, inside this coffee cup, there's 3 or 4 goblins trying to get out. You can imagine that. You can see it. Now, it's not true, and you know on some level it's not true, but also some part of you wonders if there are some goblins in my Contigo. Ow. Sucker bit me. So that's the first evidence. The second piece of evidence is the most beautiful. He says, I just feel like goblins are real right now. Fundamentally, what everything breaks down to is this feeling. I talked about the dismissing of experts. This is one of the great plagues of American society. It's actually all tied into capitalism and the belief that the consumer is always right, and that we get to make choices, and that we're free. And that the way that we know that we're free is that we make individual choices independent of other people's input. Somehow we've associated that with freedom, right? It's a very complex thing here. But this idea that I feel it's true. So many arguments are made because they feel true. And we don't analyze why they feel true. We feel that scientists are evil, mostly because in movies it's easy to make scientists seem evil. They're not really evil. I'm married to one. She's very not evil. I've met a lot of, I work with scientists. These are not evil people. These are people who are really working super hard to make the world a better place. But it's a kind of circular argument where I feel it's not true, so it's not true, which is why I feel it's not true, so it's not true. Goblins are real. The third evidence is what one might call an appeal to ignorance. He just says, look at them, they're all the same. Why, if goblins aren't real, how come they all look the same when we depict them? This idea that there's some kind of collective wisdom that's going down, the source of information. The difficulty is how things have become in which research that is now done, and I mean research, I don't mean real research, I mean do your research on the internet, is to find reasons that you're correct. And this is equally true on the left or the right, okay? This is equally true. People don't do research for the real purpose. The real purpose of research is to find that you're wrong. When I write an article about a 17th century linguist, I have to look up why I'm wrong. I have to make sure someone else hasn't said it. I have to go on the premise that I am wrong, and I have to find evidence that I'm wrong, and then I can start writing my essay. That's not what we have with this. It's just, doesn't it feel right, and isn't this how it always is? The fourth piece of evidence is a video that he shows with an obviously fake goblin in the middle of the woods. This exposes a couple things of our current post-truth era. One very much is the continuation of this research to see what you already want to see, and the other is that it's clearly fake. There's a lot of evidence that's clearly fake or has been completely debunked. When something's been completely debunked, it is still believed. That cognitive dissonance is at the heart of the post-truth era, where so many people are holding cognitive dissonances. The voting machines, we researched, and they're not broken. But also, I feel like they're broken. So they're broken and they're not broken at the same time. And the final piece of evidence is he starts playing the video game Godzilla. What is this about? How is this tied in to the post-truth era? I thought about this. This video has 1 million views because it is trending for video games. Because he plays video games at the end, he can make the claim that it's a video game video, and he's Mr. Video Game Dunkey, and he's one of the biggest YouTubers on the internet, so he is gaming the algorithm. This is an act of satire on how people game the whole system, how people get their information out there, and how they manage to fool and get past all of how they're able to get to people's eyeballs and get into people's ears. As a final piece, I'd like to talk about pumpernickel bread and about misinformation in the past. Pumpernickel bread, this is going somewhere. Pumpernickel bread, dark bread, very good. It's kind of a soul food, you know, like you can't just like yummy stuff and like pumpernickel. It takes a certain amount of fortitude to like pumpernickel bread. My father told me when I was growing up, do you know how pumpernickel got its name? I said, no. Well, it got its name like this. I just kicked the table. That really sucked. I'm sorry. It got its name like this. Napoleon Bonaparte. You've heard of him, right? I was a kid. Yeah. He had a horse named Nickel, right? And that's true. Napoleon did have a horse for Nickel. He was given this bread, this kind of bitter, dark bread, and he ate it, and then he threw it to his horse. I said, these are just apples for Nickel. Like, just food. Instead of apples, we'll give him this terrible bread because I hate it so much. Apples in French, as I hope you know, is pomme. Pomme pour means for, pomme pour nickel. That's where the word pumpernickel comes from. That's not true. That's not true at all. But for 20 years of my life, I thought it was true. Without the internet, I never would have known it was true. If I wanted to, I could continue to spread this lie on my main channel. I could tell everybody that I meet that this is the truth behind it. And I could go so far as to actually fight the real etymology, the real word origin of the word pumpernickel. Do you want to know the real origin of the word pumpernickel? Nickel is a German word. Do you know what nickel means? Goblins. It's true. Nickel means goblin because it would be named after a piece of metal you'd see in the ground. And the way we imagine goblins, they don't live in coffee cups. They live on the ground. So you'd see like a little shiny nickel and you'd think it was a goblin. That is why nickel is called nickel. And for some reason, when they decided to make pumpernickel bread, they thought they should mix the word nickel with pumpa. It's not any kind of pump. It actually means fart. The etymology of pumpernickel is fart goblins, or a goblin's fart. And that's true. Is either of those etymologies true? Look it up. Tell me in the comments. One of them is true, one of them is not. Is it fart goblins, or is it pumpernickel? We live in the post-truth era. Do your research. Okay, now I have to teach. Damn it. I just want to sit around and talk about YouTube all day. God, I gotta get more people to watch this channel. Then I'll be rich. Rich like Dunkey. All right. There's the, oh yeah, and just so you know, there's no goblins in there. There's the camera.